to the net.
Rebound, Mietman, in front Richard. Oh,
Will just rob Ben Eager. That's unbelievable.
Pull out across. Here's a shot. What a save by Price. Pull out of the rebound.
Center for wide open. And Dano scores.
Some goalies become heroes, worshipped for their saves, their loyalty, their class. Others, they become villains, slashing, screaming, and leaving a trail of bruises behind the net. Today, we're diving into the most loved and most hated goalies in NHL history. The ones fans would die for, and the ones they'd pay to punch. Wasting no time, here is the most hated. Most goalies make saves. Ron Hextall made statements. He didn't just protect the crease, he policed it. And if you crossed the blue paint, you weren't getting a whistle. You were getting slashed. This is Ron Hextall, the first goalie to earn the title of enforcer. He burst onto the scene in 1986 like a madman in goalie pads, winning the Vezina and leading the Flyers to Game 7 of the Cup final as a rookie. But it wasn't just his saves that caught attention. It was the rage, the stick swinging, the full ice sprints to throw punches. Hextall wasn't wired like the rest. He was a goaltender with a death wish for anyone who disrespected his crease. In 1987, he slashed Kent Nilsson in the back of the legs. In 1989, he full-on attacked Chris Chelios for a playoff hit on a teammate and earned a 12-game suspension. He racked up 100-plus penalty minutes multiple times. No other goalie came close. And the league, it didn't know what to do with him. Fines, suspensions, endless outrage. To most fans, Hextall was a hothead, a dangerous one. But in Philadelphia, he was a legend. They didn't just tolerate the fire, they worshipped it. He was everything Flyers fans loved, mean, fearless, and loyal to the bone. And he wasn't just violent, he was skilled, one of the best puck-handling goalies ever. The first netminder to score a goal with an intentional shot. Then he did it again, in the playoffs. Ron Hextall wasn't just hated, he was a walking contradiction. A goalie with a forward's temper and a defensiveman's bite. 3 decades later, his name still echoes in NHL history. Because if you crossed a crease, you were going to pay for it. Some goalies let their play do the talking. Patrick Roy never shut up. He wasn't just dominant, he was defiant. The glare, the swagger, the smirk behind the mask. This is Patrick Roy, the king of clutch and conflict. He changed the game with the butterfly style, won 4 Stanley Cups, 3 Conn Smythes, and racked up Hall of Fame numbers. But with every save came a stare, every win, a taunt. And when he lost, you were going to hear about it. In the 90s, he told Jeremy Roenick, "I can't hear what he's saying. I have my 2 Stanley Cup rings plugging my ears." He chirped players. He chirped fans. He once skipped the handshake line after a playoff loss, a sacred NHL tradition. And in 1995, after being shelled for 9 goals, he marched past his coach and told Montreal's GM, "That's my last game here." It was. He was traded to Colorado within days. But here's the kicker. He backed it all up. In Colorado, he turned a good team into a dynasty. 2 more cups, more Conn Smythe dominance. He even fought Chris Osgood, center ice, goalie versus goalie, and won. Fans outside Denver hated him. They called him arrogant, a showboat, a sore loser. But Avs fans, they saw a warrior in pads. Patrick Roy wasn't just a goalie. He was a drama magnet. And whether you loved him or loathed him, you couldn't look away. Because when Roy took the ice, you knew something was going to happen. And half the time, it had nothing to do with the puck. He went from miracle story to meltdown machine. This is Jordan Binnington, the goalie who doesn't just lose his cool. He makes it your problem. In 2019, he was the NHL's feel-good story, an unknown call-up who dragged the St. Louis Blues from dead last to their first ever Stanley Cup. Calm, cold, unshakable. Do I look nervous? He didn't. He was locked in. But the fairy tale didn't last. What came next was chaos. Binnington morphed into the NHL's biggest liability in net, not for letting in goals, but for what happened after the whistle. Fake punches, stick swings, post-game tantrums. He slashed Erik Karlsson in the back of the legs, tried to fight Devan Dubnyk at center ice, threw a water bottle at Nazem Kadri during a press conference. And in 2023, he charged Marc-André Fleury for a fight mid-game and got suspended. His play declined, his antics didn't. Opposing fans see him as a hothead, with the stats to justify the ego. Even his own teammates have been caught shaking their heads. But Blues fans, they're torn. They'll never forget 2019. He brought a cup to St. Louis. And sometimes, they see the fire as passion, not poison. Jordan Binnington isn't hated because he plays dirty. He's hated because he won't stop pretending he's not the villain. He's the NHL's most unstable presence in net. And for better or worse, he knows it. Because when Binnington snaps, it's never just about the scoreboard. From playoff savior to political lightning rod, Tim Thomas wasn't hated for how he played, he was hated for what came after. In 2011, he was unstoppable, a late-blooming journeyman who powered the Boston Bruins to a Stanley Cup. He posted a .967 save percentage in the final, won the Vezina, won the Conn Smythe, and for a moment, he was untouchable. But then, everything changed. After the Cup win, Thomas refused to visit the White House with the team, citing personal political beliefs. That single decision fractured a fan base and sparked a firestorm. Some called him brave, most called him selfish. And it didn't stop there. He skipped team events, clashed with management, started sharing conspiracy theories on social media. Eventually, he took a full season off, leaving his team and fans in the dark. He went from being Boston's blue-collar king to its cold-shouldered exile. Even after brief stints with Florida and Dallas, Thomas never recaptured his form, or the goodwill he lost. To Bruins fans, it felt like betrayal. To everyone else, it felt like drama from a goalie who was supposed to be silent. Tim Thomas wasn't hated for how he played the game. He was hated for how he walked away from it. A blue-collar legend turned right-wing iconoclast. He proved that in today's NHL, your legacy isn't just about what you stop. It's what you stand for. He won everything, and didn't care if he noticed. This is Tom Barrasso, the goalie who treated fans and media like the enemy. Most goalies win fans with charm. Barrasso won despite himself. He was a phenom, jumping straight from high school to the NHL, won the Vezina and Calder in his rookie year. Backstopped the Penguins to back-to-back Stanley Cups in '91 and '92. One of the best American goalies ever. But you'd never catch him soaking in the spotlight. He didn't sign autographs, he didn't talk to the press. He once refused to attend a charity event for kids with cancer because he didn't like how the media covered him. Reporters called him cold, teammates called him distant, fans called him arrogant. And Barrasso? He didn't care. The game is played on the ice, not the papers. That was his mantra and his shield. He was notoriously short-tempered, dismissive, almost confrontational off the ice. In Pittsburgh, he helped deliver a dynasty, but never connected with the city like Lemieux or Jagr. Even after retirement, the bitterness lingered. He was passed over for the Hall of Fame for years, not because of his stats, but because no one was eager to celebrate him. Tom Barrasso was elite, but he was also icy, unlikable, and unapologetically aloof. He didn't chase headlines, he avoided them, and that made him one of the most resented greats in NHL history. He was big, he was bold, and if things didn't go his way, Sean Burke came for you. This is the story of a talented, temperamental goaltender whose career was marked as much by his volatility off the ice as his play between the pipes. Burke debuted in the NHL in 1987 with the New Jersey Devils and earned his first taste of international success later at the 1992 Albertville Olympics, where he backstopped Canada to a silver medal. Over a 20-year NHL journey, splitting time across 9 teams, Burke showcased elite shot-stopping in Phoenix and Florida. But the same fiery intensity that fueled his performance often boiled into outsized emotional reactions. In 1997, trouble followed him off the ice. He pled guilty to a domestic assault charge, an incident that forever tainted his public image. He wasn't the nastiest goalie on the ice or the biggest agitator, but once respect was lost, it never fully recovered. Sean Burke reminds us, talent opens the door, but character writes your legacy. Before Ron Hextall was swinging sticks, Billy Smith was carving forwards like a butcher. This is Billy Smith, the original goalie enforcer, 4-time Stanley Cup champion, Hall of Famer, and one of the most feared players of his era. He didn't just protect his crease, he weaponized it. Skate too close, you got slashed. Crashed the net, you caught a blocker to the face. Stand in front too long, you'd hit the ice before the puck did. He made violence look automatic. Referees feared him. Opponents despised him. He once said, "I don't believe in giving a guy an inch, because he'll take a mile." Smith played angry, and it worked. He backstopped the New York Islanders dynasty in the early 80s. Won Conn Smythe in 1983, was the first goalie ever credited with a goal. But fans outside Long Island, they hated his guts. He refused postgame interviews, mocked opponents, once chopped Wayne Gretzky with his stick and didn't blink. Even teammates admitted, Billy's intensity wasn't an act, it was who he was. Smith turned crease chaos into a championship formula, but also into a legacy of resentment. Billy Smith didn't play goal. He played goalie like a hired hitman. And if you dared enter his paint, you left bleeding. Now for the ones we loved. Some goalies chase greatness. Henrik Lundqvist wore it like a suit. This is the king, the NHL's class act in net. From the moment he debuted with the New York Rangers in 2005, Lundqvist had it all. Movie star looks, cool under pressure, lightning-quick reflexes, and that iconic royal blue gear that screamed confidence. But what truly made him beloved? Loyalty. Lundqvist spent his entire 15-season career with one team, never asked to be traded, never caused drama. He carried the weight of the Rangers on his back year after year. 459 wins, 64 shutouts, 5-time Vezina finalist, gold medal for Sweden in 2006. And yet, he never won a Stanley Cup. In 2014, he brought the Rangers to the final, stood on his head, and still fell short. But instead of blame, fans offered love, because Hank never made it about him. On and off the ice, he was elegance personified, charity work, sportsmanship, a role model in a league that badly needed one. Opposing fans respected him, teammates revered him, goalies everywhere studied him. Henrik Lundqvist didn't need a ring to earn respect. He was the crown jewel of goaltending, because he never let the moment change who he was. He didn't just stop pucks, he stopped time. He laughs, he jokes, he hugs teammates, and then he rips your heart out in overtime. This is Marc-André Fleury, hockey's most beloved prankster, an assassin in net. From the moment he was drafted #1 overall in 2003, Fleury was under the spotlight. But he never cracked. He danced in it. With Pittsburgh, 3 Stanley Cups, legendary glove saves, that Game 7 stop on Nicholas Lidstrom to seal the 2009 Cup. But what made Fleury loved wasn't just the rings or reflexes. It was the personality. Always smiling, always goofing off in warm-ups, always the first to celebrate a teammate and the last to blame one. Even when he was pushed out of Pittsburgh, replaced by Matt Murray, Fleury handled it with grace. Fans were devastated. Fleury, he just smiled and moved on. In Vegas, he became a cult hero all over again. He backstopped the expansion Golden Knights to the Stanley Cup final in year 1. Every save was a highlight, every interview a delight. And even when he was unfairly benched in the 2021 playoffs, he never complained. He just supported his teammates. Opposing fans respect him, teammates adore him, and coaches know, if Fleury's in net, your locker room has heart. Marc-André Fleury doesn't just make saves, he makes hockey better. He's the rare player who leaves every city with more fans than when he arrived. And somehow, he's still smiling. He could make 50 saves in a game, then tweet about it like a guy stuck in traffic. This is Robert Luongo, elite goaltender, accidental comedian, and the soul of 2 franchises. He was everything you want in a modern goalie. Lightning-fast reflexes, incredible poise under pressure, fierce loyalty to his teams. And yet, he never took himself too seriously. In Vancouver, he became a lightning rod. Heavy expectations, cup or bust pressure. But Luongo handled it all, with a mix of brilliance and brutal honesty. He captained the Canucks as a goalie. He took the team to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final in 2011. And even in defeat, fans stuck with him. Because he owned it all. No excuses, no blame. Just self-deprecating charm and save after save resilience. And off the ice, he became a legend in a different way. Under the alias, @Strombone1, Luongo built a cult following. Tweets like, "Just had a dream I got traded, then woke up and realized I did." Or, "I'd rather be watching Homeland." He was the guy behind the mask, and fans loved him for it. Later in Florida, he found peace, helped build the Panthers into a respectable franchise, became a mentor, a leader, even gave one of the most emotional public speeches after the Parkland school shooting. Luongo didn't win a cup, but he won something rarer, the love of every fan base he touched. He made highlight reels and headlines, but most of all, he made hockey feel human. He didn't shout. He didn't showboat. Carey Price just stood there and made the hardest position in hockey look effortless. This is Carey Price, the silent guardian of Montreal and the heart of an entire hockey nation. He played under the brightest spotlight in the NHL, Montreal, where every save is history and every mistake is a scandal. And yet, he never cracked. He just showed up, game after game, year after year. Olympic gold, World Cup gold, Hart Trophy, Vezina Trophy, nearly 400 NHL wins, and perhaps most unforgettable, dragging a broken Canadiens team to the 2021 Stanley Cup Final almost by himself. He was unbeatable, unflappable, untouchable. But what made fans love Price went deeper than stats. He carried himself with dignity, never pointed fingers, never made excuses. Even as his body began to break down, even when the weight of an entire franchise sat on his back, he never complained. Price's connection to fans wasn't loud. It was real. He mentored Indigenous youth. He stayed loyal to Montreal when others would have walked. And when he took time away to face mental health and injury issues, the league stood still, out of respect. He didn't chase headlines. He earned reverence. Carey Price was a storm shelter in a league full of noise. A goalie who didn't need to shout to be heard, because every fan already knew. They're watching greatness in silence. He didn't care about style. He didn't care about flair. Jonathan Quick just wanted to win, no matter how violent it looked. This is Quick, the acrobat, the warrior, the backstop of a dynasty. He played like he was duct taped together and powered by adrenaline. Desperation saves, wild slides, toe stops from another dimension. And somehow, it worked. It always worked. With the Los Angeles Kings, he became the playoff legend. 2 Stanley Cups, 2012, 2014. Conn Smythe Trophy in 2012. .946 save percentage in that cup run. One of the best in NHL history. He didn't just beat teams, he broke them. Game after game, series after series. No angle was safe, no shot was easy. And he did it with the quiet intensity of a guy who had nothing to prove, but everything to protect. Teammates loved him, coaches trusted him, fans revered him. Not just for the saves, but for the sacrifices. He battled through injuries, took pucks off the mask, pushed his body to the edge for every inch of playoff ice. And even in his final years, when his numbers dipped and his role changed, he never complained. He just kept competing. In 2023, he closed his career with a 3rd Stanley Cup ring, this time with the Vegas Golden Knights. Not as a starter, not as a star, but as the glue in the room, exactly who he always was. Jonathan Quick was never the flashiest goalie, but when the lights were brightest, he became a nightmare. He didn't play for attention, he played for rings, and he got them. He never won a cup. He was never the biggest name, but Curtis Joseph won something far rarer, universal respect. This is Cujo, the goalie with street fight reflexes and a golden heart. He wasn't supposed to make it, undrafted, undersized, and yet he carved out a 19-year NHL career with nothing but grit and brilliance. He played for 6 teams and was loved in every city. St. Louis, where he stood on his head nightly. Edmonton, where he became a playoff monster. Toronto, where he became a cult hero. Phoenix, Detroit, Calgary. Wherever he went, fans followed. He didn't just make highlight saves, he made impossible ones. No goalie looked more chaotic or more clutch. He didn't care how it looked. He cared that it stayed out. And through it all, he stayed humble. No ego, no headlines. Just a blue-collar superstar who never forgot where he came from. He wore beat-up pads, played through injuries. He carried broken teams to the brink of greatness and never blamed them when they fell short. Off the ice, he was just as admired. Charity work, hospital visits, always time for fans, always a smile, always Cujo. He wasn't polished, he was real, and that's why people loved him. Curtis Joseph didn't need a ring to become a legend. He just needed a crease, a shot, and a reason to battle. He got all 3. He was intense, he was unpredictable, and when the game was on the line, Ed Belfour was the goalie you wanted staring down the shooter. This is the Eagle, a perfectionist in pads and one of the most beloved wildcards in NHL history. Belfour didn't just play goal, he obsessed over it. Every angle, every detail, every save had to be perfect. 2 Vezina trophies, Stanley Cup champion with Dallas in 1999, 484 wins, 4th all-time when he retired, Olympic gold with Team Canada, and he did it all with a unique swagger, that fierce bird-of-prey mask, that crouched, laser-focused stance, that don't talk to me, I'm in a war zone energy. Fans loved it, because Belfour wasn't just good, he was intense. He'd slam sticks, curse out refs, and stare daggers at anyone who dared stand in his crease. But under that fire was loyalty. Teammates said he was all heart. He'd go to war for his guys, and he'd never make it about himself. And the quirks, they made him even more memorable. The obsession with his gear, the wild off-ice stories, that infamous "I'll give you $1 billion" quote to a cop after a bad night. He was eccentric, but never fake. Chicago loved him. Dallas adored him. Even in Toronto, fans embraced his fire because they knew what it came from. A guy who hated losing more than anything else on earth. Ed Belfour was a machine with emotion, and when he locked in, nothing was getting past him. Goalies aren't just players, they're legends or nightmares. Some are loved for their heart, others hated for their chaos, but all of them unforgettable. So who's your pick? Most loved, most hated? Drop it in the comments. And remember, in the crease, there are no in-betweens.